All right, welcome back to the morning show here on Dixon County Radio. We are live, and we've got, as I've been mentioning all morning, we've got a great show lined up for you today, and I've got a great candidate for Dixon County Mayor that's going to be with me this morning. Mr. Ray Ledger Jr. has called in, and if you are new to the show, this past couple of weeks, we've sort of made it our mission for 2026 to get as many local candidates on the show as we possibly can. We want to get you directly in contact with them and give them an opportunity to talk to you. And so that's what we've done the past couple of weeks. We were lucky the first 2 weeks of 2026 to get a couple of state representative candidates. And so we want to thank John Llewellyn and Perry Keenan for coming on the show. And those interviews are out there. If you missed them, they're on YouTube, Facebook, and we'd appreciate you taking a listen to those. Last week we had on Danny Williams, who's running for Dixon County Mayor, and over the next couple of weeks we're going to have several Dixon County Mayor candidates on to talk to you directly. And today we're very fortunate to have on Mr. Ray Ledger Jr. Ray, how are you doing this morning?
Justin, I appreciate it. It's cold this morning, so I'm like everybody else watching the snow come down a little bit. Didn't quite wake up to what I was expecting, but the dusting and the roads are starting to look a little white. I have a little bit of sinus issue this morning, so hopefully everybody can understand me. I know that half of Dixon probably has it or codes, so we're going to do the best we can, but we greatly appreciate you having us on and letting us talk to the people.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. And I know you. We were at your event a couple of nights ago, and you told me, you said, "Hey, I'm ready for the interview on Saturday, but my sinuses are acting up." So I appreciate you sort of fighting through it and joining us this morning, anyway, man. Because I know you hadn't been feeling the best.
I appreciate that, but I think the coffee is helping out a lot.
Well, let's get right into it then. So, as you said, we've got some weather coming in, and we'll discuss that in a little bit here on the morning show. But right now, we want to sort of focus on you, Ray. I want to know a little bit about you. Now, you and I are friends. You've lived around here for a while. But for those that are listening who maybe don't know you, and that's just a name, and they haven't really gotten a chance to meet you yet and don't know a lot about you, maybe we should start there, if you don't mind. Tell the people a little bit about who you are, maybe a little bit about your background and experience. Maybe I know you own a business here locally, so tell the people a little bit about Ray, and we'll sort of start there.
I appreciate that. So for the ones that don't know, my name is Ray Ledger Jr. I've lived in Dixon approximately since 1988, but I've been a Tennessee resident since 1978, where I was born in southeastern Kentucky, right underneath the Cumberland Gap Park, and moved over into Tazewell, Tennessee, which is Claiborne County, and lived on a farm throughout most of my childhood. And then we moved to Nashville for 1 year in 1987. It was not the perfect fit for me and my dad, and so we moved to Dixon in 1988, and that's where I've pretty much remained. So that's how I got here. So since then, I've raised my family. I went through the school systems myself. My kids have went through the school systems, through private schools and public. Pretty much built my whole entire life here, and just really enjoy it. The community just fits. If you look at my Facebook page, it actually shows that it's my hometown. That's how much I love it. But I've built my company here, helped build other companies as well here in Dixon. But I've spent the last 10 years building Quick Flow HVAC. Like any small business, you have to watch those numbers and check the P&Ls and make sure people are paying and make sure people are getting the service that they're paying for. And that's basically what small businesses do. We enjoy our community that takes care of us. And I apologize for losing my voice just a hair.
No,
but I've also been involved for many years, for approximately 10 years as well. I've been involved in Rotary, workforce education. We've worked with TCAT, as a company, and brought in some of their students, and even helped out to train some of their students. We've always been community service, minded as far as the company and personal. We always get back to the community, and that's a little bit about how we came about and a little bit about the company. But mainly just want to let people know that we're always out and about. If you haven't had a chance to talk to me, we look forward to it. We're going to have several opportunities, and just encourage people to reach out and talk to us.
No, I think you sound pretty good this morning, Ray. Knowing that you have, a little bit of sinus issue, I think you sound pretty good this morning. And I appreciate you telling us a little bit about your business there and your background. And, as a small business owner, I guess you get to go around to all different sorts of places, with the business that you have. I'm sure that you get to go all around to all different parts of the county. And, as mayor, you're going to be representing the entire county. And so, it's a special place, Dickson County. We've got a lot of little towns all across the way. And I'm sure that with the business that you have, you've probably gotten around to a lot of these little places all across the county, haven't you?
Yes, sir, I have. And that's one of the good things about having a service company. We do go into a lot of people's homes. I'd say Quick Flow, probably roughly around 2,200 customers that we have under maintenance agreements and stuff like that. So we're in their homes and businesses on a regular basis, and then we get to go meet new people. My team that works with me, they always come back, and we get great reviews for that. And but it also gives me a chance to sit down and just talk to people. And I hate to say it, but I don't get to do it as much as I used to when I started the company. Now we have our employees and they get to go do it, but I still get to go out on the problem accounts that maybe we can't get the unit running as quick because, like anything else. Give you a prime example. This morning, we're around 14 degrees. When you're 14 degrees and your heat goes out, people start worrying, and it's a legitimate emergency for people. And you have to be able to take in as they come through the phones and get them coordinated and get my people out there to take care of them, because it is an emergency to them. It's not like when you may be 90 degrees in the house and you could open a window and get a little bit of relief until, a service call can be made. In the cool of it and the code as we're experiencing, those are emergencies. And, you got to be able to basically get out there and get it done and keep it manageable. And during those times is when I'm able to sit back and talk to people and let the guys do what they're doing, and then me give them a little bit of peace of mind that we're going to get them back up and running as quick as possible. And then we have alternative ways if we can't, because not everything is fixable, but we can work on it and get you going.
Well,
so I appreciate that. But yeah, that is a good point. We get to talk to a lot of people, and I've found that we're all the same. I don't care if you live up in Cumberland Furnace or if you live over in Burns or you're over in my area in Tennessee City, White Bluff. We all have the same issues and same problems. They're just intensified or not even acknowledgeable, depending on how they affect you. And we just got to figure out how to make everybody happy.
Well, in the business that you're in, with the weather the way that it is, you guys could be getting a lot of calls here because we've got some really cold temperatures and we've got some snow on the way in here. As you're listening to the morning show this morning, we've got Mr. Ray Ledger Jr. on the phone with us. He's calling in this morning, dealing with a little bit of sinus stuff. But Ray, I appreciate you, fighting through it with us and calling in this morning. You got a big campaign on your hands here, running for Dickson County Mayor. And I was reading a statement this morning from current Dickson County Mayor, Mr. Bob Ryle, put out a statement yesterday, just basically acknowledging the fact that we've got some severe weather coming through and just letting folks know sort of the main steps that we need to take. And I do want to mention real quick here before we take a commercial that we've got the Dickson County YMCA, which is located right here in Dickson, Tennessee, is available as a warm shelter this evening and going forward. I was reading about that this morning. Anytime the temperature gets below 18 degrees, they open up their warm shelter there from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. for anybody who is in need. So that is some good information for us to pass along to folks this morning. You are listening to the morning show here on Dickson County Radio. We've got Ray Ledger Jr., who's running for Dickson County Mayor with us this this morning. He's been telling us a little bit about his business and a little bit about his background. Now, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Ray a little bit about his campaign. You know, why would somebody want to run for Dickson County Mayor? We're going to ask Ray and ask him to give us a few of the main points of his campaign when we come back. We've got some rough weather coming through. We'll get you updated on that too as well. You're listening to The Morning Show. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. All right, we're back here on The Morning Show, Dickson County Radio, and we appreciate everybody tuning in with us this morning. And the rough weather has begun. We went out riding, me and my son Braxton, this morning at about 6 a.m. We drove through downtown Dickson, and I think it was about 6:58 a.m. that we started seeing the first snowflakes fall down. Now, that was a couple of hours ago, and we do record this show just a few minutes before it airs. So by the time you're hearing this, very well could be right in the middle of Snowpocalypse 2026. And so we are so happy that you've decided to tune in with us this morning. We, on the Saturday morning show, as we start 2026, we are trying to get on as many candidates who are running for local office as we possibly can. And over the past few weeks, we've had several candidates, and we are lucky to be joined this morning by Mr. Ray Ledger Jr. Now, Ray is running for mayor of Dickson County, and I believe he was the first one to throw his hat in the ring several months ago, and he let me know he was running, and I told him we'd get him on the radio as soon as we started these interviews, and we're lucky to have him on the show this morning. Now, Ray, we had a great event a couple of nights ago over at Cajun Lake Lodge, and that was a lot of fun, and I appreciate you inviting me. We had a really good time.
Well, it was my pleasure. We did have a great successful event. Paula with Cajun Lake and Bayou Bell did a phenomenal job on catering in the Bayou Bell dishes. It was a big success on that part, and then luckily the weather held off. We were in the mid 40s and not the teens, so that was nice. And from the consensus, everybody just loved the venue and loved the food and loved the conversations that we had. Everybody was interacting with everybody, asking questions, giving me ideas, obviously, of what their concerns are and what they like about Dickson and what they don't like about Dickson. And I think in order to know what your people want, you got to talk to them, and that's what we are striving to do. It is basically a grassroots foundation or path, because we like to get out and we like to talk, and anybody that knows me personally knows I like to talk. I have to watch things like that. But we want to know what's going on in your neck of the woods, because I live over on the south side of Dickson, and I can tell you what's going on in District 2, and I can tell you what's going on for the most part in all of Dickson, but I don't live in your neighborhood. So I want to know what your concerns are, what you're happy about. That's the best way to be transparent is let's talk it out.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's, being the county mayor is a lot different than being a county commissioner, because you cover, more of a wide area. And like you said, you really want to try to get out there and talk to as many people as possible. And I know you've been doing that now. You've been campaigning for a while. I think the first time I saw a Ray Ledger for Dickson County Mayor sign was way back at Old Timers Day of this past year. So I know you've been, out there campaigning. You got a lot of things that you're passionate about. So in this second segment here, I did want to give you an opportunity to sort of just kind of focus on your campaign and talk to the voters for just a moment here about, maybe why did you decide to run for mayor? I know that's a decision that no one takes lightly, and I know there was probably a lot of thought and things behind that. So maybe we could talk a little bit about why you wanted to run for mayor and some of the things that you want to do if you're elected, maybe some of the key points of your campaign.
I appreciate the opportunity, obviously. So when I first announced it, that this was something that I wanted to do, to be quite honest, it was probably, I became county commissioner in 2022. It was probably 2023 when I first announced that it's something I wanted to do. And to be honest with you, it was going to be a little bit later. I was going to run for county commissioner for 2 terms, but when Bob announced that he was officially not going to run again, I thought that it was the perfect time. So we started looking into it and looking at the numbers and making sure that, it's something that we're capable of doing as far as company wise, because that's a lot of concerns to several people, believe it or not. Three of the county commissioners that are running all own business, and that seems to be a concern to some of our people in Dixon, is how we can do both. Well, before I even announced, Quick Flow HVAC was already handed off officially to Michael Hargrove, which is going to run the day-to-day operations and has been for several months now. And so that frees me up to do the things that I need to do. And obviously, a county mayor is a full-time job. So that was one of the biggest concerns right out of the gate that some people had. So we nipped it in the bud real quick. But, getting out and talking about, running, a lot of people just flat out ask you, why would you want to put yourself through that?
Mm-hmm.
You have a successful business. We do a lot of stuff in the community and everything that, I may not be able to do quite as much as a county mayor because of limitation of time and stuff. But the question just was always answered. I've always had a servant heart, and you can't do this job as a county commissioner or any kind of government job or faith-based initiative without having the servant heart. And I've always had it, and that's where I've always been led to go, and that's where I'm headed, right straight up to the county. But people thought it was crazy right off the get go. But the more we talked about it, and the more we got out there, and everything like that, they started realizing, hey, this is something that you were meant to do. So we're pushing it.
Now, once that decision is made, and I know it's not a decision that is made lightly, then I guess you do have to just kind of hit the ground running, don't you? You just kind of have to, start getting out there and learning about people's concerns. Now, if you are lucky enough to be elected into this position, what are some of the things that you would focus on? Because I know there's a lot of things out there people are worried about, a lot of different issues. Probably the one I hear the most is the growth thing. We got growth coming. So, where do you see the issues lying here in Dixon County? What are the things you think that the next mayor is going to have to tackle?
Well, you're right. Growth is one of the biggest issues that we hear. And we've heard it for years. It's not something that's just coming this term around. That's been going through. It's been here. It's been coming. We've known about it. And whether I've always said whether you like Bob or not, he's done a great job as financially with Dixon County. But because of the way the state is ran and the way that we're regulated as commissioners and county mayors and everything, there's certain things we got to have in place, and the growth program or a procedure is part of it. We're currently going through the city side of Dixon County to see where it can expand out itself. That was done, I think, back in 2020 or 2000. Speak it out there for a second, but in 2000 it was revised, I think, around 2006, and now we're here in 2026. And we're going through it again, and just about all of our municipalities are part of it, but it gives us a plan, and I think that's where it boils down to answer the question of the biggest thing that I'm hearing out there talking to people is they're worried about the growth, and rightfully so, but you can't stop it. It's coming. We all know it. So you got to have a plan, and we do have a plan in place that is pretty solid. But I think that plan has to be more transparent. That's where I land with it. And when you're talking about expanding to bring a plan in for better jobs and make our people here in Dixon County better off with work that they can have here in Dixon County versus like me, I'm a service industry, but I cover all of Middle Tennessee. Well, that's a lot of gas and a lot of time, labor, and everything. Imagine if I could do all that just in the county lines of Dixon. It would be great. Well, I'd like our citizens, if they want to work in Dixon County, they have that opportunity. But in order to have that, we have to have the jobs. Mm-hmm. We have to have the land. That's where the growth plan comes in. And no one's really against growth once you sit down and talk to them about it, because they know it's just part of life. everything changes. It's how it's going to do it. And I think that's where you have to be more transparent. You have to, if you're going to look over on this side of Dickson County, then you need to be talking to everybody over there on that side of the county. Get their input, what they think about it. Be more open. There's some things obviously you cannot be open about, right off the get-go, because it's just a legal thing. That being said, once it's able and it looks like we're going to have a company come in and everything, well, you start preparing your people for it. Let them know that this is what we're looking at, but at the same time, what's your thoughts on it? Mm-hmm. So it goes back to that transparency. People just want to be involved is what the consensus is. They just feel like they're not involved in anything. So I always tell them at the end of our conversations and everything, I always ask them, I said, when's the last time you been down to planning and zoning? Mm-hmm. And you'll be surprised. Very few. Well, that's your first step. How many times have you went to a county commission meeting? There's step 2. If you want to be a part of it, there's always ways, and we can get you there. But maybe they just don't know. Mm-hmm. It's we all know it's on social media and stuff, but maybe we just need to do a better job and make sure people know how they can get their voice heard.
Now, I try to do my best at going to as many meetings as I can, and luckily you guys over at the county commission put the meetings on, YouTube, I believe. YouTube is how I watch them, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I get a chance to watch them there. And so anybody who's listening who says, well, I don't have time to go out to the meeting, well, if you have a computer or a phone and you got YouTube, you can participate virtually and you can find out what's going on. And from my experience personally, all the county commissioners are pretty good about getting back with you. So,
absolutely,
yeah, and
good group of guys. Ladies.
Absolutely, yeah, they've done really good at that here the past couple of years, especially any questions that I've had. Now, you guys have been talking. I was just watching the last county commission meeting a little bit on delay because I was busy that mm-hmm. night, but I noticed that the growth plan is coming back up, and I heard yes. Bob talked about how they got all 7 mayors together and it was like catching a unicorn. And so that process seems to be underway, and I know you've kind of already touched on this, but as we're sort of closing out the second segment here, maybe just encourage folks you'll be a part of that, because this is the first time in like 20 something years that we're revising it, and yes. people have an opportunity to get involved, don't they?
They do, and it's been posted all over the government websites for Dickson County. I know it's on Facebook. I've seen it many a times myself. But yeah, I mean, the best way to know what's going on, for one, in Dickson County is to be a part of it. Don't just live in it, be a part of it. And the second thing is, it's like my dad always told me, if you don't put your 2 cents in, then you'll never have 2 cents in it. Mm-hmm. So you need to get out there and you need to talk to your county commissioners, talk to your council people and everything in your municipalities, and let them know what you want, what you think, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. I mean, it's weird as a county commissioner for going on 4 years now. We get very few phone calls saying, "Hey, Ray Ledger, you're doing a great job. Thank you." We get phone calls like, what in the world are you going to do about it? And that's fine. That's what we're here for. Yeah. But we want to hear from people all the time. My phone, I've had the same phone number for 30 plus years. Matter of fact, I think it was my first cell phone number, and it actually came out of Clarksville because Dickson didn't have a provider at the time. My phone's always on. I always tell people, now, if you're going to call me at midnight, you're going to call a few times because I'm sleeping. But at the same time, I will get back to you. I always have. And, running a business and everything like that, which, is pretty much out of the way now as far as on the day-to-day operations, it frees me up to get back to those phone calls even faster. But, be a part of it. Go to those meetings. And there's going to be several. There's going to be several public hearings on it, because this is a big part of how Dickson County is going to grow.
Absolutely.
And you need to be a part of that. And the biggest thing is, people, they don't mind the growth, but they want the growth to match our infrastructure that can support that growth. And that is one of the things we're pushing, is make sure that we got the growth that the infrastructure does support. And that means working with your utilities and everything to make sure that if we're going to put something out here, it can be sustained. Don't put it there and then figure out how we're gonna power it, bring sewage from it, stuff like that. Make sure we can get there 1st,
Mm-hmm.
and that will regulate growth a little bit better in Dixon County.
Absolutely. Well, we're joined this morning by Ray Ledger Jr. If you're tuning in a little bit late, we've got Ray on. He's running for Dixon County Mayor, and he's been kind enough to come on with us this morning despite having some sinus issues, which I think you're sounding better the further along we get in this interview. But appreciate you coming on with us this morning despite that and talking to us a little bit about your campaign and a little bit about your background. We'll go ahead and take a break. When we come back in the next segment, I'm going to ask Ray a little bit about ways that you can contact him and when the election is going to happen and any other things that we've missed. So we'll come back and we'll wrap things up with Ray Ledger Jr., who's running for Dixon County Mayor. You're listening to The Morning Show here on Dixon County Radio. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back here on The Morning Show, Dixon County Radio, and Snowpocalypse 2026 is upon us. We've got some bad weather coming through the area, and I appreciate you tuning in with us this morning on the Saturday Morning Show. Now, we're going to be live all day here on Dixon County Radio, bringing you weather updates. So, after the interview is over, we want you to keep the radio on. We want you to keep listening because we're going to have some great music, mostly from the 80s, and we will have some weather updates for you all day. Local weather updates that matter to you here in Dixon County. Any news that we get from Dixon County Emergency Management, we will let you know about. Anything that comes in from the mayor's office or from the Dixon County Mayor's office or the City of Dixon's office over there for the mayor, we'll let you know. So we're here to keep you updated locally on your inclement weather updates. So keep it tuned here all day on Dixon County Radio. But right now, we're so lucky to be joined by Ray Ledger Jr., who is running for Dixon County Mayor. And we are trying here on the Saturday Morning Show to get as many candidates as we can who are running for local office on. So if you're listening and you're a local candidate, we would love to have you on. Please reach out to us. Folks always ask me, they're like, Justin, how do you decide who comes on first, whatever? It's just whoever I run into, man. I just go out and about. I try to go to as many events as I can. And it wasn't too long ago that I ran into Mr. Ray Ledger Jr., and I said, Ray, I've got to have you on the radio. And, of course, Ray was like, man, I'd love to. And so I appreciate him doing that. So Ray Ledger Jr. is with us this morning. Now, in the first segment, we talked about his background and experience and a little bit about who he was. And then in the second segment, we sort of dove into the campaign a little bit, talked about why he wanted to run for mayor and some of the issues that we've got coming up as far as growth and other things that the next Dixon County mayor is going to face. And we appreciate you talking to us about that, Ray. Now, is there anything that we haven't touched on before we get to how to contact you and all that good stuff? Ray, is there anything that you want to mention that we haven't mentioned this morning?
Well, we just hit, basically like the tip of that iceberg, and anybody's ever seen an iceberg, there's less up above it than there is below it. So, I mean, we only touch a little bit of surface on the infrastructure side and everything. But, I mean, there's a whole slew of things that we're going to have to deal with, and that's going to be, are we going to have any taxes in the next 4 years of the next mayor's term? I don't foresee them, so I think we're looking good on that. We got schools, we got trust in the government. That's they're here to there, but a lot of people have a lot of trust issues. And I want to make sure that people know that they can call me up and say, hey, what about this? And they trust that that's the honest answer. Mm-hmm. And if you talk to anybody that knows me or that has done business with me and everything, once I put it out there, I stand behind it 100%, whether it costs me or it don't cost me. If it's good, it's great. If it's bad, I take it on the chin like the person that decided to make that decision or tell you. So, the trust issue has never been an issue on my end. So we'd like to knock that one out of the ball field immediately. And then we got several things we can sit and talk about. Now, obviously, we can't do it on just one session of the radio station. So we'd like to come back and talk to you more when it comes more closer.
Yes.
But we got a lot of things we can talk about. And I'd like to hear from the people and what they want to talk about.
Well, that's a good segue right there.
And see how we can help out on some of their needs or some of their wishes, I guess you could say, because we all want Dixon to do great, mm-hmm. and we all want it to grow and be prosperous. and everything, but we all wanted to grow in different directions. And, like you said, we're going through the growth plan right now for the cities, and that was a good analogy with the unicorn. But to me, it's more like you're herding cats.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to do to get all your county and city mayors together. Half the time, they when they pass by each other, they throw a hand up.
Uh-huh.
They work great together. Don't get me wrong, but you don't see them talking a lot, and that's just something that you notice as you're out and about.
Uh-huh.
But they all seem to work well together. You just don't see them together that often. And I'd like to change that a little bit. We should be meeting on a regular basis. So we're all part of the same family.
Mm-hmm.
But to answer your question, there's several ways to get a hold of me.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to Facebook, pull up Ray Ledger for Dickson County Mayor. Like I said earlier in an earlier segment, my cell phone's been the same, and you'll find out my email has been too. But you can reach me at 615-715-7173. If I don't answer right away, I will get back to you. And then I'm like everybody else, texting is probably the easiest way to get a hold of me quicker. And then my email address is Ledger Jr. That's LEDGERJR at AOL.com. So, like I said, that shows how far that goes back.
Mm-hmm.
Most people have Gmails and everything else, but what works.
That's right.
And I don't get a lot of spams on AOL. I can't say that about Gmail.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it is one of my favorite
Exactly. Don't spend money you ain't got to spend, and don't fix something that ain't broke.
Absolutely.
But now you was talking coming into this segment, I'm sitting here in my office, and I'm looking out at the grass in my driveway, and there's snow.
Yeah.
Roads are covered. I don't know how thick it is, but my driveway, you don't see gravel.
Oh man, it's coming. It's here.
So it's coming.
It's here.
The grass is dusting.
Now,
So, but that's the best ways to get a hold of me. And then
Uh-huh.
if you see me on the street right now, you're going to see me wearing a Ray Ledger for Mayor hat. Come up and talk to me. You ain't. We're not going to shy away from you, and we're going to answer anything you got questions about. But just come up and shake my hand. We can have a cup of coffee, and you'll learn. I drink a lot of coffee.
me too.
And that's probably the reason my voice is holding on as long as it has this morning. It's McCaff coffee.
Hey, I love that stuff. That's good stuff.
Well, I like our local coffee places like that Dane Coffee and this, what's it called, Sunshine Cup or
Uh-huh.
Cup of Sunshine
Cup of
out there.
sunshine. Yep.
Not to throw out just names, but that's the places when I'm traveling Dickson County. I got Buffalo up in White Bluff I like to go to and everything. But
Yep.
if I'm sitting at the office, Walmart and Kroger and all of them have McCaff coffee, and that's what I drink.
Yep. I have to say, I got a little a thing of it at the school, and I like to drink on that during the day myself. I like it. I can make it in my little Keurig.
But we appreciate you having us on.
Yes.
Hopefully I didn't bore everybody to death.
No.
But reach out, talk to me, send me an email. We will get you answered.
Well, listen, I appreciate you calling in, even though you are struggling a little bit, with some sinuses. I know half of Dickson County is as well, and but I appreciate you fighting through it and talking to the folks this morning. I really do.
We appreciate the opportunity.
Well, we'll get you on again soon. Now, the snow is on the ground today as we interview you for the first time this year. But I believe, the next time around, the environment could be a little bit different, and then we'll get into the hot weather, and then the election will probably, I should say, finally be here. We'll go through the May primary, and then I guess August. So we got a long way to go, and we hope to get you back on the radio at least a couple more times.
Well, I know you're out and about, like you said, everywhere. I mean, I guess truthfully, everywhere you are, I've seemed to be there too, or vice versa. I don't know who gets there first.
That's right.
But that being said, when it's time to come back and talk to you and y'all's listeners and everything, just give me a time and a date, and we'll make it work.
Yes, sir, and I appreciate that personally. I thank you so much for coming on the show and giving us an opportunity to talk to all the different candidates. I think it's great for our community that we are so transparent. You know, all of the candidates willing to come on. Everybody I've talked to has said they would come on so far, so nobody's rejected us, and I feel great about that. I think that's great for the community, and I think it's great for the candidates just to have the opportunity to get on here and talk. So,
Absolutely.
with that said, Ray, I won't make you talk anymore. I appreciate you. We'll go ahead and we'll close things out here. I do want to thank everybody for tuning in this morning. As always, Saturday morning show. It actually starts at 8 o'clock every Saturday, and we've got Jeremy and Amy Long who come on. They're a couple who actually live out in Las Vegas, Nevada, and they go travel around the world, and they come on the radio and talk about it, and they're so nice to do that show live from Vegas, and we put it on Dixon County Radio every Saturday morning now, starting at 8 o'clock. You can hear them talk about different places. Last week they were in Philadelphia, and they were going over some of the foundation of our nation and the founding fathers and some of that. And for the America 250 celebration, they're going to travel all over the nation. So you'll want to tune in for that at 8 o'clock. That'll run from 8 to 10 every Saturday morning. And then at 10 o'clock, I come to you live, and I will give you the latest interview with whoever we can get a hold of that is running for local office here in Dixon County. I do believe next week we've got another mayor candidate on. I won't say the name yet because I just want to double check. I hate to say it and then they can't come on or whatever, but I do. We have 3 more candidates we haven't interviewed yet. All 3 of them have agreed to come on, and we'll have one of those on next week, and I will get on Facebook and let you know a little bit later in the week. But we want to thank Ray Ledger Jr. for coming on this morning. We appreciate him, and I do want to encourage you to stay tuned to Dixon County Radio throughout the day. We've got some great 80s music for you. We'll be playing that all day. And then in between the songs, we've got some updates on the weather. I'll be pretty much live in the studio here for most of the day, and we'll get you that information as fast as we can. So again, we appreciate you tuning in this morning. Make sure you tune in next week, starting at 8 o'clock for the Saturday morning show, and we'll have the interview next week at 10 a.m. Thank you to everybody, and stay safe, Dixon County. If you don't have to get out, stay at home and stay safe. We'll see you next week.